From action and horror games to quests and relaxing rooms, I have a big list of one-player games that you can check out if you have no one else to play with or you just want to go out on your own adventures. If you know more one-player rooms that isn't on my list, then be sure to share more down in the comments to help other players grow their list. But for this video, we'll be going down these categories. And with that, let's get started. Let's start with quests. If you like Star Wars, then you should check out Project Intel. There was supposed to be a part 2, but I don't think it came to be. I did need to re-enter the game at one point, but thankfully there's chapter doors. But it's still a neat Star Wars experience. Expect about 15 minutes of gameplay. If you like the game Portal from Valve, then you should check out the game Portaling. It has a working portal gun, which I consider pretty cool. The puzzles or test chambers aren't hard, but because I really enjoyed the actual Portal game, it was neat to play in Rec Room. In one room, I was struggling to get through a tight space, ended up falling out of the map and restarting the game. I didn't find any chapter doors, so I had to replay everything to reach that point again. And I did cheat to get through that point. Other than that, the game runs perfectly fine and even has the boss fight. Expect about 35 minutes of gameplay. There is a sequel to Portaling called, well, Portaling the Sequel. It kind of has a story, the building is very simplistic, but it's still a working game that you can play through. Expect about 20 minutes of gameplay. If you like games with multiple choice, then I've got a couple of quests for you. Check-In has multiple choices that lead you up to 10 endings. I remember when this game came out about 4 years ago for the Getaway Room contest, and I'm glad it still works, though you might see a couple of holotars at once. Expect about 15 minutes of gameplay. The second is the Stanley Parable. This game is based off the story game Stanley Parable. Go figure. You are guided by the narrator but can still choose to do the opposite. It has about 8 endings, if not more. For this game, expect about 30 minutes of gameplay. For the next category, activities and games. The Stories is a quick walkthrough game where you get to choose how a short story is told. Short as in about 3 to 5 minutes. Retro Runner is like a classic arcade game where you dodge out of obstacles in a third-person perspective. The game could probably go on infinitely, so the length of the game is how long you're willing to play the game. For a simple game as Flappy, I was struggling to get past 3 pipes. All you have to do is tap a red birdie in front of you and your bird will flap up once. But I was just struggling so much. It looks like the game could go on for a long time, but that's if you could survive it. If you took this game up as a challenge, please share in the comments what was the farthest that you got. I do have another game that I would like to mention, but I'm going to keep it as an honorable mention at the end of the video because there's like one bug about it, but I still think it's a cool room. But now let's move on to casual and hangouts. Virtual reality is a sitting experience where there is a voice talking as the view changes. Expect a 4-minute experience. Path of Enlightenment is an art room where you have a couple of tasks that gives you access to the next room or an island. Side note, I like how when you jump off the ledge, it carries you back to the ledge. I think it's fun, but that's probably just me. It's a hangout room, so the time you spend in there is completely up to you. The next category is the scary and horror category. These games were played and recorded by Fanor since he doesn't mind horror games. In fact, he claims that horror games has no effect on him, so when I share his ratings for each room, it might technically be a little higher for those who are affected by horror games. But now, let's get started with Garten of Banban Full Game. This game is a recreation of the actual Banban game. You roleplay as a lost kindergartner trying to unlock mysteries about your kindergarten. Fanor rated this game as a 5 out of 10 for the puzzle factor and a 3 out of 10 for the fear factor. If you've seen Mav's video, then you know that the next game is a very long game. There's not much of a puzzle to it, but expect slow walking that feels like forever. If you have a phobia of walking slowly with subtle sounds happening all around you, this game might be for you. But Fanor put the fear factor as a 4 out of 10. The Elude Maze is, well, a maze, but you are timed to find all pieces for a glove before something happens. Puzzle factor is 3 out of 10 and fear is 4 out of 10. The Autumn House is a scary game with a story to it where you tracked a murderer to a house. And it has a fun ending. Fear factor, 3 out of 10. Kirkbride is Feanor's highest rated fear factor at 6.5 out of 10. It's funny how he put a 0.5 there. The story goes that you visit your relative who is staying at Kirkbride Institute. Her doctors believe that her psychosis might be hereditary. There's one subroom for some reason allows more than one player to it.
How are you today? This was supposed to be a one-player room. I mean, you don't have to stay.
But then it'll go back to single player.
Look, it's normal now. Okay, it was normal now.
Good luck if you choose to play. The Man Who Lived in the Basement is highly rated at 5 out of 10, with the puzzle factor also at 5 out of 10. The game is about you unraveling secrets about a twisted family. It has some intense moments, including a chase. Play at your own risk. Now, I usually stay away from these types of games because I believe we have an oversaturation of them, but this next game is suggested by a fellow RecTuber, and that is FNAF Sister Location Remake. I'm sure all I have to do is say FNAF and you basically get it. Feanor gave the rating of 6 out of 10 for story and then 4 out of 10 for fear. Don't Let Go VR is just a couple minutes long, but it's a test to see what is your phobia. Someone's scratching. Your goal is not to be scared enough to remove your hand from the keyboard. Oh no. Oh no! I think it's obvious what my phobia is. Now, before we go on to honorable mentions, I would like to remind y'all to support me in Rec Room. To do that, go to the Play tab, code button, and then put in my name, Ruth. It's free and it'll tell people that you enjoy my videos. Now to honorable mentions. For the fear category, Across the River was rated a 5 out of 10 by Feanor, and he really liked the story. But sadly, he couldn't finish the game because of a glitch. It might be completely broken, but just in case it only happened to Feanor, I still decided to mention it here. This next one is technically a one-player game, but the room capacity is 6, because people can watch you play from above or from your perspective. The room is called One Night at Newbies 6, and it's basically a off-brand of FNAF. You can set how many newbies to watch out for and at what difficulty. Even though I'm not personally into horror or scary games, I can't deny that this game was well made. My goodness. For Get On It, I didn't get on it because I didn't spawn on the platform. That's why it's only an honorable mention. Your goal is to navigate a cube over the obstacles by adjusting the angles, then launching it. I don't know if it has more than one map because I was spending my time using OVR to try to get myself in the spot just to play. Other than that, I liked it. Maybe one day it'll get fixed. Once again, if there's more than one player rooms that isn't on this list, then please share them down in the comments to help others out. And if you'd like to see a list of 2-player rooms that you can play, then click on this video right here. And if it's not there, then there's a placeholder because it's not out yet. Or you could watch this video down here.